Deluxe albums are ruining music, and I'm tired of pretending that they're not. Nobody talks about this. I'm gonna talk about it. Let's get started. Today I want to break down why deluxe albums don't work anymore, why it's just a lazy trend, and why I can't stand them and they need to stop. If you're new here, please make sure to subscribe. Back then, deluxes had purpose. Deluxe albums had meaning. Now I feel like deluxe albums, more than anything, are literally just a marketing strategy and a way for artists to run up their sales and get more streams. So let's start by listing a few of the problems with deluxe albums. One of them being they dilute the original project. When an artist releases an album, in my mind at least, you have an intention behind that album, whether it's a concept, whether it's an album that's really a mixtape and there's just a bunch of songs thrown together onto one piece. I believe that albums are supposed to have meaning and they're supposed to have some sort of direction. And as soon as a deluxe comes out, to me personally, it just dilutes the music itself. It doesn't make you feel the same way about a project, and it doesn't make me feel the same way about a project. But another problem is that they're usually clearly label driven, and I mean clearly label driven, because at the end of the day, if you're a signed artist, a lot of the times you don't have really control over what you do and how you release, especially when it comes to albums, because usually when you sign a deal, you are signing an album deal, whether that's a 1 album deal, 2 album deal, 3 album deal. Usually if artists sign a big number, they are tied to the success of the projects that they release. And I don't just mean like, oh, you have to release 3 albums. You gotta release 3 albums sometimes. If you sign a 3 album deal, you gotta release 3 albums, and then you also have to be able to make the money back that you made or that was given to you. I get it. They're trying to run up sales, and a lot of the times it's label driven, but that doesn't mean that it's a great thing. Another problem that I have is that they usually feel like filler. They usually feel like something that could have been left unreleased or could have been released as the main project, and it kind of, again, dilutes and deteriorates the project that was originally released. Because here's the thing, you release an album, right, and you give this album to your audience. Let's just say that they like it. Then you release a deluxe. If the songs that are on that deluxe kind of dilute the album and they make it feel less meaningful, it's gonna make your fans look at you kind of sideways, and I know it makes me look at an artist sideways. And not just that, there's the opposite argument of if you release a deluxe album and the songs are better than the project that you put out, then you're making your music look like, oh, okay, well, you just don't know what you're choosing. You don't know what you're doing here. Fans are gonna look at you sideways. And then I think another problem with deluxe albums is that it delays innovation, because when you are releasing an album, when you are releasing a project, the main thing about releasing an album that is across the board the thing for all artists is that it's supposed to make a statement in your career. It's supposed to make a statement. I mean, unlike a single, unlike an EP, unlike anything else, when you put out an album, it's gonna be the first thing that pops up in your latest releases on Spotify. It's gonna be the first thing that pops up when somebody goes onto your page on Apple Music. If you release an album, it's really supposed to be something that makes a statement. You try to make this statement with this project, and then out of nowhere, you're like, oh, okay, well, a week later, I'm gonna release a deluxe. It kind of delays innovation, because instead of letting people kind of sit with what you've given them and really analyze what you've given them, even if it's not your best work, you're now giving yourself another almost project. Because these deluxe albums, my issue is also, it's like, okay, you gave us a 20-song project, right? And then you're giving us another 5 to 10. I've seen 15-song, 20-song long deluxes. It's like you just gave us an entirely new project when you could have held that and created something and created an entirely new vision for your brand, for yourself as an artist. And instead, you gave us a whole bunch of songs attached to your last project that a lot of the times people don't go back to, because some people are directly attached to the project that you first gave them. So now let's talk about how this affects the culture. Well, what this really does to me is it makes you feel less excited about your next release. It makes you feel less excited about what's to come for the artist, because you are a fan of an artist, for example, and this artist has been hyping up this project for so long. They've been hyping it up, hyping it up, hyping it up, and then out of nowhere, they released the album. Now, maybe this was a great album for you, or maybe it wasn't the best album for you. Okay, fine. Either or, they released the album. Now, within a week, they're telling you Deluxe is on the way. And I'm not trying to throw subs at Playboi Carti, but he did this exact thing. I personally think, although Playboi Carti fans were probably extremely excited and extremely hyped that he was just constantly releasing more music, and for Carti's circumstance, it's a little bit different because he didn't release music for so long that when you're supplying your fans like that, we know that he's probably not going to come back for a long time. It's a little bit different, but if you're supplying your fans every year with music, you drop an album and then you drop a deluxe album, it's going to make people more and more less hyped the more that you release music, because you're just flooding them with music. There is such thing as oversaturation to your own catalog. There's oversaturation in a genre, there's oversaturation in music as a whole, and then there's oversaturation that you could do to yourself within your own catalog if you're constantly flooding and flooding and flooding with music. It can feel rushed, unintentional, and bloated, and it can also really make fans think that what you're doing isn't very important to you. And to me, it really encourages quantity over quality, because again, when you release a deluxe album, it changes the entire feeling of a project. Let's just say that you gave me a 10-song album and I enjoyed the 10-song album. I thought from top to bottom it was great, but not just that, there was a concept behind it. Because first off, we don't really get a lot of concept albums anymore, but when we do, they really do give you this different feeling and this different meaning, because the intro has something that you're almost getting fed into something. Over time throughout the project, you're getting different highs and different lows, and then the project ends on a good note. Oh, that sounds like a good album to me. But then if you decide to release a deluxe and you're giving me 5 songs, you're giving me 10 songs, even if you give me 2 songs, that completely changes the feeling of the project. And it might not make me look at the project or you the same way. Maybe this is just me, but I cannot stand deluxe albums, because it makes you look at the project and the artist in an entirely different way, and it makes you look like, oh, okay, well, this artist just cares about quantity over quality. They don't really care about giving you a project that has direct meaning, because then people will create deluxe albums and they might put these songs from the deluxe on top of. There might be an intro, but they won't do no disc 1, disc 2 nonsense. They'll literally put the songs from the deluxe over in the catalog. It just doesn't make any sense to me, because the feeling of your project is completely different. It's completely gone, and I might not go back to the album the same way ever again. And then another way that this affects the culture is underground artists copy this trend. They copy this trend of making deluxe albums. First off, I think if you're an underground artist, especially if you're undiscovered, you should not be releasing albums. You should just be releasing singles. That's an entirely other conversation. But if you're an underground artist, you should be releasing singles. I'm an artist right now. I'm undiscovered. I'm releasing singles. Why? Because it keeps people in front of you constantly. If you release an album, the more music that you release, especially if you're releasing an album, anything between 8 to 10 to 20 songs over that course of time, you don't want people to get tired of you. You don't want people to be like, okay, like I've had enough of this person. So the more singles that you release, the more you're constantly in front of people, and you can give people bits and pieces of you. When you release an album, it's a little bit different, but underground artists copy this trend of seeing deluxe albums because it makes them feel and perceive like they are label ready in a sense. But at the exact same time, it doesn't help them. It does not benefit them, because when you release an album as an underground artist, especially a deluxe album, it dilutes and kind of takes away from the impact that you have as an artist in general. Because at the end of the day, underground artists, when they're releasing all of this music over time, okay, maybe you're supplying your fans that you've built. But when it comes to new people, if I'm a new person discovering your music, if I'm somebody new discovering your music and I've never seen you before, if you release an album and then out of nowhere you give me a deluxe and then that album looks like 20 to 30 songs long, just because it's that long, I might not be willing to check it out. Again, maybe this is just me. Comment down below if you agree, but I don't feel the same way. So here's a few things that I think should change about deluxe albums. I think first off, they shouldn't even exist. If it was up to me, I would say don't exist. And here's the thing, I don't know what goes on between artists and their labels. I don't know what happens between underground artists and their teams and their managers who back them up. I don't know if it's not entirely in their decision if deluxe albums come out, because that could be the case too. A lot of the times labels, managers, they really want to run up sales and streams because it looks good on them. At the end of the day, sales and numbers matter so much to so many people, and I don't think that they matter, because at the end of the day, you can have millions of streams but not have a real core fan base, so numbers don't really mean shit to me. But I just don't like the idea of deluxe albums. I don't think that they should even exist. But if you want to release music and you just release an album, in my opinion, what you should do, maybe release an EP, maybe release a very short project that's not labeled as an album or a deluxe, that it's just this little concept thing because you wanted to give the fans more music. It's a little bit different. It makes you look at an artist as a person than if you give them an album and then a week to a month later, you're giving them a deluxe. It's just oversaturating your catalog so much. Or the best thing that you can do, in my opinion, is just let the fans digest the music that you gave them. Let the fans digest what you just gave them. Let them sit with it, whether it's good or bad. Because let's just say you did release a project and your fans didn't like it, and you know that your fans didn't like it and people were saying things. Over time, people might like it more. Let the fans digest it. I mean, a great example of this, and I know a lot of the times I've been bringing up Cardi, but a great example of this is Playboi Carti, because even if you were not a Playboi Carti fan, even if you absolutely absolutely hated Whole Lotta Red, the way that people perceive that album over time was so much different than the way that people perceived it when it first came out. And that is because he didn't say, I'm gonna release more music, I'm gonna release more music. He wasn't at the top of the game yet. He let fans digest that album, and over time it became a success, but it wasn't an overnight success. So let people digest what you give them. Let them see like, oh, okay, like maybe this isn't that bad. Or if it's a good album, let that album sit with people and let people really want and yearn for more music from you. Deluxe albums feel like a shortcut, and shortcuts don't last. When was the last time that a deluxe album actually made an album better? Do you like deluxe albums? Do you listen to deluxe albums? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to have a conversation about this in the comments with people, so let me know, because I absolutely hate deluxe albums. I've never liked them ever since I first discovered them, and I don't think that they should even exist. But please, let's have a discussion in the comments. Let me know what you think of this video. If you liked it, if you're new here, please make sure to subscribe. I am your guy for new content, new videos, and topics that people don't really talk about anymore, or talk about at all. If you also want to discover me on Instagram, follow any of my music or anything that I got going on throughout the day, please follow me on Instagram, willarmani with 2 eyes. I got more of my own content and more things that you can discover on there. It's been your boy, willarmani. Stay positive.